What's going on, guys? Moniz here, and this is the Sony XPERIA XZ2 Premium. I've brought you a camera comparison against the P20 Pro, and I've done an unboxing. Today we're gonna review it. I'm gonna tell you about the things that I absolutely love, I'm gonna tell you the things that I don't like, then I'm gonna round it up and tell you exactly who this phone is for. Now let's start off with the things that I don't like. I don't like the size of this device. It is a really big smartphone. In comparison, it's slightly bigger than an iPhone 8 Plus. It weighs more, and because the back is curved, it's very awkward to hold. Now, because it is made out of all glass, you can expect a lot of fingerprints, so my suggestion is to buy a case for this immediately. The next thing I don't like is the fingerprint sensor. I don't like the position of it. It's very awkward. You have to bend your finger all the way down, and half the time I'm constantly pressing the camera instead of the fingerprint sensor itself. You see, on the XZ2, which also has an awkwardly placed fingerprint sensor, there's more of a gap between the camera. Because the XZ2 Premium is using dual lenses, you're more likely to hit it. Now granted, you're gonna get used to it after a little while, but just note that you should probably wipe off your camera every once in a while. The next thing is audio quality. Look, Sony is an audio company. They have great speakers, they have great sound products. There still should be a headphone jack on this device considering how thick it is. Sony has some great wired headphones. How great would it be to plug it into your smartphone and get good audio? The last thing is kind of a love and hate relationship. I love the fact, and I commend Sony for pulling off a 4K display on a smartphone ever since the XZ Premium, and doing this without sacrificing too much battery life. The thing that I don't like is how big the phone is. And this is not 100% Sony's fault. You can only do 16:9 at 4K with the Snapdragon 845, which is great if you're watching movies because you'll be able to utilize the entire screen. But because of this, you do have a wider phone. The second thing is, do you really need a 4K display on a smartphone? I really think QHD should be the cutoff. You really don't see any difference from a great QHD display compared to a 4K display. You need a really big screen and a certain distance to really notice 4K. Now, this is a 4K HDR display. It is LCD. It does get fairly bright, and overall the colors are absolutely beautiful. Now let's move on to what I really love. Performance on this device is absolutely fantastic. It's using the Snapdragon 845. There's 6 GB of RAM compared to the 4 GB of RAM that you get in the XZ2, so everything just feels nice and snappy. Not once since I've had this phone have I ever felt a slowdown. I've had 0 apps crashing. Overall, it's been a fluid experience. This also contributes to the fact that Sony still uses a pretty tight stock theme. There's some Sony influence, but it's not overbearing, and overall, the animations feel a little bit quicker than the XZ2 and XZ2 Compact. The second thing that I really love is the fact that there's still a camera button on this phone. Yes, I know on some other devices you can just double tap the power button, but having a dedicated camera button is kind of nice, especially in its position. When you're holding it in landscape, it's exactly where your finger should be, so snapping a photo is quick and easy. The next thing is a small thing, and it's not a big deal, but I personally just love this. The fact that you can actually take out your SIM card without using a pin tool. It's a small little thing, but it's convenient. You don't have to worry about carrying a pin or a paper clip on you to switch devices. Now, the last thing that I really love about this device, and the most important thing, is the camera. The camera on this device is absolutely insane. I put it up against the Huawei P20 Pro, and in my personal opinion, it did a better job overall. The pictures were consistent. It did a good job with exposure, 4K HDR video recording, which is significantly better than any other smartphone on the market, looks absolutely amazing. Now granted, it doesn't have optical image stabilization, but Sony's Steady Shot is pretty darn close. Overall, if you're looking for one of the best cameras on a smartphone today, Sony nailed it with the XZ2 Premium. Now look, there's a couple of things that I wish were different. In intelligent mode, it is a little bit slower, and it still doesn't have a proper portrait mode, but Sony says it is coming in a future update. So just a couple of things before I wrap this up. Battery life on this device is okay. It's not as good as the XZ2 or even the XZ2 Compact. I'm getting about 4.5 hours of use, so very similar to the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. The good news is you have Sony's Kinovo charging, which basically retains that battery life for a long period of time. It supports quick charging. You have wireless charging, so keeping this thing topped up is very easy. And the last thing, it also has water resistance, so very similar to the rest of their lineup. This is IP68. I did a water test with the older XZ2, and this was one of the only phones that actually survived my water test. So that pretty much wraps up my review of the Sony XPERIA XZ2 Premium. This is a very expensive phone, and you should only buy it for 2 reasons. One, because you want to watch content the way it was meant to be watched, which you can't do on most smartphones today because most of them are 18:9, and 2, because you want one of the best cameras on the market. This camera is really good. In fact, I don't know why other reviewers are not talking about it. The HDR that it can record surpasses any other smartphone on the market. Hit me up on Discord if you have any questions about these devices. Follow me on Instagram for some behind the scenes. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one.